On the last night of the year, when the entire city of Blackwood was counting down to midnight, hundreds of people disappeared at the exact same moment. No alarms, no explosions, no signs of struggle. Just silence, and every single missing person had one thing in common. They heard a voice whisper, "I come at 0." The old-timers in my town have a saying, "Don't look at the clock when the year turns." I always thought it was just a quaint superstition, something to spook the kids. But last New Year's Eve, I found out the truth behind the warning. Our town, Harmony Creek, is small. The kind of place where everyone knows your business. The biggest event of the year is the New Year's Eve countdown in the town square. A massive, antique clock tower stands in the center, its deep chimes marking the hours for generations. Last year, the air was unusually still, and the snow fell in thick, silent blankets. As the crowd gathered, an unsettling quiet fell over us. It wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, suffocating. 10 seconds to midnight. The crowd started the countdown. 10, 9, 8. I glanced around. My neighbor, Mrs. Gaber, was staring at the clock face with a look of pure terror. Others had the same expression, their faces pale, eyes wide, and fixed on the clock tower. 7. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. It was like a magnetic pull. 5 and 4 and 3. As the numbers fell, the faces of the people staring at the clock began to change. Their features started to blur, melting like wax figures left too close to a fire. Their mouths opened in silent screams, but no sound came out. 2, 1. Midnight. The clock chimed, but the sound was wrong. It wasn't the familiar, resonant bell. It was a discordant, gut-wrenching shriek that seemed to tear through the fabric of reality. I squeezed my eyes shut, my hands clamped over my ears. When I opened them, the screaming had stopped. The people who had been staring at the clock were gone. Just empty spaces in the snow where they once stood. Now, a new year is approaching. The clock tower stands silent. Its hands haven't moved since that night. The remaining townsfolk don't talk about it. We just know. When the final seconds tick away, we'll be in our homes, curtains drawn, and we won't be looking at any clocks, because we know something is looking back. Thanks for listening, and remember to subscribe for more strange tales. At 11:22 p.m., Blackwood descended into darkness. No streetlights, no cell signals, no internet. People stepped outside their homes, confused, phones glowing uselessly in their hands. That's when the screaming started. From different streets, different houses. All at once, Daniel drove through the city, headlights cutting through thick snowfall. He saw doors left open, cars abandoned in the middle of the road, champagne glasses dropped and shattered on sidewalks. People were vanishing, not dragged, not chased, just gone. Security cameras later showed something impossible. At exactly 11:30 p.m., shadows began moving without body. They slipped under doors, climbed walls, wrapped around people's feet, and then nothing. Those people were never seen again. Daniel received another radio transmission, but it wasn't dispatch. It was the same distorted voice. Every year needs a sacrifice. Daniel slammed the brakes when he saw a digital billboard flicker back on. It displayed a countdown clock. 0 hours, 30 minutes, and 0 seconds. 30 minutes until the new year. Below the timer, new text appeared. Blackwood owes me. Daniel remembered something. A fire. 20 years ago. A New Year's celebration gone wrong, and a name the city buried. Daniel drove to the old Blackwood Civic Hall, abandoned since the fire of 2005. That night, 12 people died when fireworks ignited illegally stored chemicals. The official report blamed an accident. The truth was worse. Daniel found old records inside the hole, frozen and rotting. The building was freezing cold, far colder than outside. Photographs lined the walls. Victims of the fire. All smiling, all holding fireworks. At the center photo was a man with a twisted grin. Elias Crew. The man who organized the event. The man who locked the exits to prevent people from leaving early. The man who burned alive. The city covered it up. At 11:45 p.m., Daniel heard footsteps behind him. Elias Crew stood there. Not burned. Not human. His body looked stitched from shadows and smoke, eyes glowing like dying embers. They promised I'd be remembered, Elias whispered. Instead, they erased me. The temperature dropped. The countdown echoed from every direction. 15 minutes. Elias raised his hand, and the walls bled ash. This city will remember tonight. Daniel ran through the ghostly, quiet streets of Blackwood. The snow had stopped, blanketing everything in a silent, white shroud. It was a town of the dead. Then, at precisely 11:55 p.m., it began, a whisper, slithering into the minds of the few who remained. It came from mirrors, from the dark screens of televisions, from the depths of their own thoughts. 5, 4, a countdown had started. Suddenly, Elias was everywhere. His form flickered in the reflection of a shop window, stretched long and distorted in the shadows, and stared out from the darkened glass of a parked car. With every person who had vanished, he had grown, taller, darker, more solid. A terrifying strength radiated from him. A vortex of stolen lives. It was then that the horrifying truth crashed down on Daniel. Elias didn't crave chaos for its own sake. He craved an audience. He wanted witnesses for his grand finale. At 11:58 p.m., the air grew impossibly cold. A shadowy hand, colder than ice, clamped around Daniel's throat. Elias materialized from the darkness, his grip unbreakable. He dragged Daniel, kicking and struggling, to the center of the town square. There, a massive digital clock on the side of a building flickered to life, its red numbers glowing ominously. 0 hours, 2 minutes, and 0 seconds. 2 minutes. One soul to replace mine. Elias's voice was a calm, chilling sound in the dead silence. That's the rule. A simple exchange. As he spoke, the names of the disappeared began flashing across the giant screen. Hundreds of them. Children. Entire families. The silent scream of a whole city echoed in Daniel's mind. He looked at the clock, then at the monstrous being holding him captive. And in that final, dreadful moment, Daniel made a choice. What was that choice? And what happens when the clock hits 0? We'll be diving deeper into the lore of Blackwood and the curse of Elias in our next video. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. At 12 a.m., the power surged back through Blackwood like nothing had ever happened. Streetlights flickered on, televisions resumed their programs, fireworks erupted across the sky, loud and colorful, drowning out the screams that had filled the city just moments earlier. To the rest of the world, Blackwood had survived another new year, but Officer Daniel Reed was gone. In the town square, investigators found only his badge half melted, frozen into the ice, as if reality itself had rejected him. Witnesses claimed Daniel had never been there. Security footage showed empty streets. Official reports blamed a temporary blackout, mass confusion, and alcohol-induced panic. The case was closed within days, but the city was no longer the same. Over the following weeks, people noticed small, terrifying changes. Mirrors sometimes reflected extra movement. Televisions turned on by themselves at night, always stopping at 11:58 p.m. Children spoke of a policeman in the glass who smiled and told them to behave. Every missing person's house developed the same strange smell, burnt plastic and old fireworks. No matter how much they cleaned, it never went away. 1 year later, on New Year's Eve, Blackwood gathered again. The city installed bigger screens, stronger power backups, more police. They were prepared. At 11:57 p.m., every screen in the city went black. A familiar voice echoed through homes, phones, and radios. I told you, Blackwood always pays. The countdown reappeared. 0 hours, 3 minutes, and 0 seconds. People screamed. Some prayed. Some tried to run, and then they saw him. In every reflection, a man in a police uniform, eyes glowing like dying embers. Officer Daniel Reed. But something else stood beside him now. A second shadow, smiling wider, waiting patiently. As midnight approached, the voice whispered one final sentence. "This year, I'm taking more." The screen hit 0. The lights went out. And Blackwood was never seen on the map again, because some cities don't celebrate the new year. They survive it.